perhaps you can help with this question. This is Munson's Mailbag, which is a new feature. We're going to try and sort of proactively help more people on the show in the morning with questions. This is from Chris in Devon in the UK. I'm not sure you can help with the second part of the question. Maybe others can in the community, but you're certainly the man for the first part of the question. Is renting simple for short-term tenants? Is that too vague as a question? What does he mean by short-term and what does he mean by simple?
Well, let's read the whole thing and then we'll see.
Okay, can you provide
I'm
me?
not saying anything about rent. You've got, is renting simple for short-term tenants up on the screen.
Yes, okay. Can you provide also, what, like people who aren't very tall, are you thinking as well there? Is renting simple for short-term tenants? Anyway, can you provide me with the medical insurance details, please? I'm trying to message the sports minister or any government sports manager to connect for boxing, as it's not happening for competitive amateurs or virtually no boxing clubs here in Portugal, he thinks. Any help or direction would be fantastic. Thank you, please. Right. So first bit, is renting simple for short-term tenants? I mean, in many ways, the whole tourism situation here in Portugal means that short-term rentals are very simple. Airbnb.
They're just not cheap.
They're not cheap. I think what he means, though, is not the coming and signing up for a 3-year lease and not being a tourist. What's happening in the middle ground, Vitor?
The middle ground?
Yes, if he wanted to rent somewhere for 3 months, 6 months, what are his chances on that? Because
in fact, sometimes that is the challenge we get when looking for rentals for clients. That some people, have vacation homes or whatever, and they rent them out, but it's like for 3 or 6 months, give or take. So sometimes we want properties for 1 year, but they're available for much shorter time than that, right? So it is simple, and as you said, I believe the law states that any rental shorter than 3 years is technically considered a short-term rental. But if you want to stay here for a few months or whatever, that can definitely happen. Sometimes we even get in contact with Airbnb owners. Hey, we have a client that needs to come here for 2 months. Could you do a special price, for 60 days or something like that? So again, another reason why I like having meetings with clients before starting to work together is because I always want to start with the end in mind, and then we talk about what's going on. Because sometimes, to give an example, one of the clients that we're working with right now, they called me because, hey, Vitor, we need a rental because in March we're going to have our visa appointment, and so we need a rental. And then it can be something cheap so we can get the visa, and then we're going to go there in a few months and buy a home. And I'm like, I met with them, figured out what their situation was, and then I told them, hey, look, I understand that you're going to have your meeting now, and then in like 2 months you're going to sell your home in the US, right? And then that's when you're going to want to buy a home. But you can actually buy a home now without having all of the money available, because we can look for something now. We can sign the promissory contract. You pay 10%, and then you can use that for the visa. And then later on, when you do sell your home, we can make it so that we sign the deed after you sell your property.
Wow. Okay.
So that is a possibility as well, right?
Yes.
What ended up happening is that they actually decided to indeed go with a rental first, but their son, I actually helped him buy a house, which we're still in the contract phase, waiting for the documentation. But again, always like starting with the end in mind. What do you need? How long are you going to stay? What do you need it for? What do you like? What you don't like? And then sometimes, for example, hey, this is a home that I would like, right?
Yeah.
But I would only need to stay there for 3 months to then move up for something else. Then maybe the home may not be as good during those 3 months because it's going to be a much more temporary thing.
Yeah.
So, so each case is a case.
Yes, and so it's important to find out exactly what your personal requirements are. So we're getting some indication of what might be possible for Chris here. And yes, when you were talking about the off-season rental, which is going to be much more likely and less expensive than the tourism season, that indicates that if you are coming on a scouting trip and you want a short-term rental of that kind, maybe do it in the Portuguese winter or autumn rather than the late spring and into summer, where the prices will go up and they won't be interested in renting to you for 2 or 3 months.
Yes,
possibly.
and more specifically, November through maybe March. I mean, the high season is getting longer and longer. I'm being told by
that's right. The shoulder is extending.
Yeah, so May to October is basic, and into October is still the high season, where it used to be kind of June through August. So it's stretched out.
And it's seasonal too. It's seasonal too. For example, here in Ponte de Lima, we have Feiras Novas, which is the big yearly event. That's in September. So that's going to be tough to find rentals as well.
Okay, very good. That's that part of the question. And Pam and Mel are also contributing. Lots of people don't know what they're looking for, especially when first moving to a new country. So much is changing at the same time. It's hard to know what your life will be like. That's right. And Mel, I would imagine short-term rental, easy out of season. Landlords want to fill their summer rentals in winter, but tricky and expensive in warmer 6 months. Yes, maybe there's an app. We could build an app so that landladies can rent out their off-season properties more easily. Don't forget your winter clothes. If you do that, though, take that option. We took shorts and T-shirts in March when we initially came over, and they were expecting snow. You need those, what were they called? Cerolas. You need your leggings when you come over at that time of year. And on the other part of it, we may return to this. Thank you very much for this, Antonio. There's no Ministry of Sports. Isn't that amazing? You'd think in Portugal there would be a Ministry of Sports, and it might be one of the most important and well-funded ministries of all. No Ministry of Sports, just a Secretary of State for Sport. Regarding boxing, there are many boxing clubs and gyms. So I suppose, like many things, it's a matter of because you can't find them on the internet, it doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yes, it's the old trick of finding things in Portugal. That's been the biggest challenge for me when I need something. And I think the easy out is, well, just go to Amazon. But, if you ask Portuguese people, where can I find this? They'll probably tell you, but you're not going to find it online or other places.
Exactly. And that's why you need the help on the ground from people like Vitor Costa. Sorry, gentlemen, I've kept you over time here. It's 2 minutes past 9. And because the two of you are so upbeat and positive, generally speaking, may you give us words of advice and wisdom as you send people on their way this morning with a boa semana in their hearts. You first, Vitor.
Well, it's as I say, I'm just going to leave the quote from Chris Voss, right? Never be so sure of what you want that you wouldn't take something better.
Oh, nice. Plot twist.
Nice, yes.
Like